Here are 20 Fortnite tips I wish I knew sooner.
Tip 1. Always warm up.
You should never go into a real game without warming up. This only makes you play bad. You should always warm up before you get on, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes, so you can loosen your hands and warm up your hands so you do not make silly mistakes during real game. Warming up is very important because it stops creating bad habits and you can practice your weaknesses. So always warm up as soon as you get on Fortnite. Tip 2. Playing against good players. Now, if you really want to improve in Fortnite, you need to play against players who are better than you. Now, the reason for this is good players will punish you for your mistakes, whereas bad players, you're just going to easily kill them, you're not going to learn, and most importantly, you're not going to improve. Good players will make you see what your weaknesses are, so that when you warm up, you can then practice your weaknesses. Also, you can learn a lot of things from good players, which makes you adapt a lot faster and think smarter, so that when you get into a real game and you come up against a good player, you already know how to play against this player. Why do you think the pros play against the pros and they stay pros for so long? It's because they're always fighting the best of the best. So start playing against good players. Tip 3. Find your perfect settings. Now, I recently made a video on this on how to find your perfect settings, so make sure you watch that video. The link is going to be in the description. But what I will say is you do not want to keep changing your settings, because this will cause inconsistency and you will never improve. You want to find the settings that are perfect to you and stick with them. This is what I did. I've been using my settings for years now, and I can truly say sticking to them was the best thing, because it made me way more consistent and it's made me a much better player. Tip 4. Be confident. Now, people think being confident comes down to being a really good player, but it all comes down to yourself. You don't have to be insane at the game to be confident. Just believe in yourself and the decisions you make during fights, and it's going to make you feel 10 times better when you fight, because not only are you confident, but you're putting that other player on the back foot and making them make mistakes because you look so confident and they're not very confident. If you're scared, you'll never reach the potential that you can potentially reach. So start playing with confidence in anything you play, because over time you're going to see improvements in your game, all because you believed in yourself and you were confident. Now, this brings me on to tip 5. W key. Now, as I mentioned in tip 4 about confidence, W keying comes with confidence. If you can push people constantly and fight as many people as possible, this is going to improve you way more than not fighting much people. You need to be fighting as many people as possible so you can learn and adapt way faster, meaning you win more fights. Tip 6. Better equipment. Now, there's no secret in Fortnite that having the better equipment gives you a massive advantage and will improve you. So if you can, I would invest in the better equipment. Maybe that could be you play on controller and you could get the DualSense Edge, or you playing keyboard, or you're on console and you want a PC. Investing in that better equipment will make it easier to improve later on. So if you're thinking about investing, you should do it. Tip 7. Ping. Now, as we all know, ping is very important in Fortnite, so you need to play to your ping advantage. So what I mean by this, if you're 0 ping, that means you have more chance of taking walls and pieces, so you can take more risk during fights. But maybe you're 30 ping, so that means you need to play to your advantage. So you need to make that player make mistakes, because if you try to swing on their wall, most of the time you're never going to get that wall. They're just going to open it, shoot, reset. Because their ping's so good, you won't even take the wall. So you need to make that player make mistakes. So for example, you can try pre-fire, or you could try fake swing with your pickaxe, then shoot. You can pre-piece them. It's all about playing to your advantages so that you have the upper hand in fights. Tip 8. Input delay. Now, if you struggle with input delay, I'm going to give you a few tips to reduce it, because as we all know, it's very annoying, especially if you're on controller. So what you want to do is come into your settings, turn off all replays, turn off all energy saving settings, and turn off all gyro settings. You also want to make sure if you're on PC, you're on performance mode and you turn VSync off. And if you're on controller, play on the generic layout. This is only for PC also. Now, these settings will reduce your input delay, making your game perform better so that you can play better. So apply those settings. Tip 9. Audio. Audio is one of the worst things in Fortnite. For me personally, I feel like I can never hear when someone's pushing me or someone's near me, because the audio is that bad. So I'm going to give you a setting that helps me out and what the pros use. If you don't already use it, you should use it because it helps out massively. So go into your settings and turn on visualize sound effects. What this is going to do is going to give you footsteps on your screen so you can actually see people coming, which your headset wouldn't pick up normally. So turn this on. Tip 10, crosshair placement. Crosshair placement is one of the biggest things people struggle with, but it's very important because it affects your aim, editing and reaction time. So keeping your crosshair placement at head level means you won't have to adjust your aim as much, meaning you can hit way more shots. Proper crosshair placement means you can claim builds way more because it's more precise. If you can master your crosshair placement, you're going to have a smoother gameplay and you're definitely going to be able to win more fights, whether that be in close range or long range. So try to improve your crosshair placement. Tip 11, mechanics tunnels. Now, as I mentioned before, crosshair placement, mechanics tunnels actually help with this. Now, in my opinion, mechanics tunnels are one of the most underrated things to practice because it improves your mechanics, editing and crosshair placement all in one, and there's so many different scenarios you can learn from so that you can apply it to your game. It's one of the fastest ways to improve, so start using mechanics tunnels. Tip 12, master exploits. Now, exploiting in Fortnite is one of the most underrated ways to win fights. You will see a lot of pros exploiting, and the reason for this is because they want to end fights as fast as possible. And exploiting is a good way to do that because it throws the player off and makes them make mistakes quickly. Now, a good way to practice exploits would be going into Raiders Mechanics Training Map V5, going into the exploit section and practicing all the drills there. These are very helpful in fights, so start applying them to your game. Tip 13, peaking correctly. Now, peaking correctly is very important, but a lot of people seem to struggle with it, but it's fairly easy. You see, peaking correctly minimizes how much you get hit during fights, but also maximizes how much you can hit someone, meaning better damage output. So if you don't already know, right hand peak is the peak you always want to be on. Whether you're making a Dorito edit, a window edit or any other edit, you need to be on right hand peak because it's going to make you way harder to hit, whereas left hand peak leaves you vulnerable and you will get hit way more. So it's important you learn and master right hand peak so that you can win fights much easier. Tip 14, good mentality. Now, if you struggle having a good mentality in Fortnite, you need to change that around as soon as possible. Having a bad mentality does not change how you will play, it only makes you play worse. So you need to try and switch that around to keeping a positive mindset. If you die, do not rage and start making loads of excuses up. Just keep a good mindset, say to yourself, I died, fair and square, let's go on to the next game, forget about that game. You need to keep a good mentality at all times. This will benefit you into playing good, meaning more improvement. Tip 15, staying calm. If you're someone who's nervous in fights and struggles to stay calm, you need to try and change your mindset around. Just breathe and try to tell yourself you're not going to die. Show a bit of confidence, because if that player sees that you're scared, they're instantly gonna try push you and apply loads of pressure. So you need to try show some confidence back by staying calm and just breathing. Tip 16, knowing when to disengage. If you die in fights a lot because you have low mats or you have no heals, then you may struggle with knowing when to disengage. You need to know exactly when to disengage. So as soon as that player is distracted, just disengage, loot back up, get mats, get heals, then you can fight. It doesn't mean you're scared because you're disengaging. It's just being smart and having good game sense. So start to know when to disengage. Tip 17, watch pros. When you're watching your favorite pro, don't just watch them because you like watching them, watch them because you want to learn. You can learn so many things from pros that you can try implement into your game, whether that be an edit they made or a piece control move they did. Analyze what they do so you can try do it yourself. Tip 18, return damage. Now, return damage is what a lot of people do struggle with during fights, maybe because they're scared or nervous when they get put on low HP, but you need to start using return damage because it helps the opponent stop pressurizing you when you're low on HP. So if you get hit for high damage but the player's on your wall, you need to apply return damage. So try pre-firing when they try to take the wall, try make an edit when they're swinging on your wall. These plays lessens the pressure of the opponent so you can heal and they can heal, resetting the fight so you have a better chance of winning the fight again. So use return damage. Tip 19, controller players to learn claw, paddles or optimized binds. Now, I did make a video on this where I go through the best optimized binds for claw, paddles and non-claw, so please watch watch that video below, because it will help you out massively and it will save you a lot of time looking for binds. Because as we all know, moving your thumbs from an L3 stick to press any other button is one of the most frustrating things ever, and the way to fix this would be switching to claw paddles or optimized binds. Claw, you wouldn't have to move your thumbs at all. Paddles, you get extra buttons on the back, so it allows you to keep your thumbs on the stick, and optimized binds allows you to press other buttons without moving your thumbs off the stick. So you need to try switch to one of these. Tip 20, be consistent. All these tips I've give you, whether it being warming up, exploits, peeking, fighting, being calm, mentality, if you're consistent with these tips that I've told you, you're going to become so good at this game. It all comes down to being consistent and not giving up. Remember, consistency is king. Now that was 20 tips I wish I knew sooner. If any of these tips did help in any sort of way, please be sure to like and subscribe and let me know in the comments which tip helped. I'm interested to know. But yeah, I hope this video did help and you enjoyed. Until next time, say